Hello, I'm Bill Lord, and I welcome you to the 2020-2021 Board of Directors candidate interviews. Um, we have 11 questions, and with us right now is Carl Clawson, who is currently a board member and is running for re-election. Welcome, Carl.
Hello, how are you doing?
Doing very
Thank you.
well, very well. So you've heard a lot of these questions before, but there are a couple of different ones. But just to refresh in the minds of the residents, let's go through these and start with, why is it that you want to be a board member here at Lake of the Woods or continue to be a board member?
Well, I wish to continue to serve on the board of directors to continue help with the coordination between the members, committees, and management.
Okay. And can you discuss your qualifications that you bring to the association?
Well, I served as a volunteer for 3 years on 3 committees for 3 years, and the Environmental Control Committee, the Equestrian Committee, and the Maintenance Committee. I served with the Lowell Board of Directors for a 1-year term and currently serving on the Lowell Board for a 3-year term. I've learned a lot about how our community operates and its needs. I know that I would not have wanted to serve on the Board of Directors without the firsthand experience.
Okay. What, in your experience, what have you thought of as the 3 most important duties of the Board of Directors?
Well, to serve the community as an elected official, having 1 vote on the board of 7 to represent the wants and needs of our community. Number 2, to serve as board liaison for various committees as selected at the annual meeting. This includes attending the meetings and that they're voting at the time and date.
Okay. Can you explain to us your understanding of the role of, where the role of the board member ends and the role of the general manager and his staff begins?
Well, normally the board of directors ask questions of management, and I do ask questions of management from time to time, but I never suggest on what they should do. I always go to the general manager and talk to him, or to the president, residing president at the time, and talk to them about the message I'd like to get across to management. But it's always carried forward by the president of the board to the general manager.
Okay. And could you explain your understanding of our reserve study and how LOA uses it?
Well, that's kind of a complicated question there, because it deals with the working with the management to keep the reserve replacement updated for the 2021. And it comes from the Miller Dodson Associates, and it's updated from time to time depending on the needs that we have and some emergency things that comes up. But most of the time we try to stay within the budget of that year, and we have over 770 different items in that budget over a 30-year term, but we try to work with a 5-year window. So that's how we work with the selecting on how we spend our money in the lake.
Okay. And can you discuss your understanding of how the LOA operating budget is developed?
Well, the lower operating budget is developed. We have committees. One of them is a planning committee, and the other one's a finance committee, and we usually go to them for advice, and they give advice to the board and to management. Management reviews some of those items that went to them, and then they bring forward at the board meetings to the board. And what we do is we discuss them, we vote them, we have a second. If we can get a second, sometimes we don't get a second, so we don't get to discuss it. But when we do get the second, we discuss it, we talk about the pros and cons of what that's going to be, and then the board will vote on it, and it will become what we do and how we operate.
Okay. What suggestions do you have for the administration to work within the budget?
Well, we have a budget. We try to stay within the fiscal year of what we're supposed to be doing according to the Miller-Dodson report. And as far as sometimes I believe that we're over budgeting sometimes, and when we come under the budget, it makes us all look great. But I kind of like to keep everything down to a tight knit. What is exactly going to cost, and if it comes within maybe 6 to 8% of what it was, I'm happy with that.
Okay. Let's talk about COVID-19 for a second.
It's a
What?
bad subject.
Yeah, well, it's hasn't been much fun for anybody, has it?
No, it has not.
Um, what suggestions do you have, if any, that might or uh, that the community could use to be better prepared for another pandemic that may come along?
Well, at this time, as most people know, we're kind of governed by what the governor of the state says what we have to do. So we try to follow his guidelines, and we try to relate his guidelines to our community, which is a lot different from some cities and small towns. We are pretty unique within ourselves, but keeping up with social distancing and the mask wearing and not touching each other, it's all that stuff. We're going to have to repeat it. Plus, when this is all said and done, we're going to look back at what we did and better ways that we could have done things like that. So we can, if we do, heaven forbid, run into another pandemic, we're a little bit more prepared by the history of what we went through now.
Okay. Um, do you have any suggestions that might help reduce the balloting period in future referendums? How can we get members to vote in a more timely way?
Well, we went to the electronic voting now, vote now platform. A lot of people, I think, like myself, we're a little old and we just can't quite grasp how to run that computer. If you even have a computer or a cell phone, or some people just don't have that, so they don't really know how to vote. I would like to see us put the ballot box back down at the Holcomb building. And when you come in to pay a bill or what have you, and if there's a referendum or any kind of vote going on, have the employees give you a ballot at that time, fill it out and put it in the box. Now, once it's in the box, it becomes an issue of who picks it up and who counts it. There's usually one person in charge of it, and that's usually the election committee chair. And this person takes that key and unlocks the box. And I think if we did something like had a couple of other people there and they counted the votes, or they send it off to vote now, and vote now takes the vote, and they register how the people voted in the box. I believe we could get more people to respond on a written ballot, because telephone voting and computer voting is complicated for some people.
Okay, interesting. So as you are very well aware, as a board member, you are constantly scrutinized by members of the community during meetings on social media and who knows where else. How do you feel about that, and how do you handle that?
Well, all of the board members have a board address, and you can also contact everybody by typing in board.org. And if you've got a complaint, register it there. And that way, all 7 board members get to look at that. And we all have an opinion, and we can talk about that and discuss it. And we're always ready to help. Many times somebody has contacted me, and I'll go to their house to look at their problem to see if I can help them physically and bring it back to the board and talk to the board about what we can do to help the membership in here, because we have a lot of rules. And the problem is, a lot of people, when they buy into this place, they're worried about their mortgage, they're worried about getting a loan through, and they're worried about everything, and they just don't read the rules. But when they do come in and they try to do something like paint their door a different color, all of a sudden, hey, the rule pops up. And they begin to start looking at these rules. And that really, once you look at the rules, you'll understand more how this place operates. And believe me, most of those rules were written for a reason. I'd like to see some of them gone away, but that's going to take some time and effort, because some of them are outdated, and we just need to correct some of them and make them more sensible.
Okay. So how do you view your responsibility as a returning board member, or, you know, hopefully,
Yep,
right,
we'll see.
to carry out the decisions that were made by the previous board?
Well, me being on the previous boards for 2 terms, some of those decisions were made by me. Um, Once again, I'm only one of 7 people that determine, and it takes 4 to make the quorum to make the whatever the motion may be passed. And at this point, we just do the best we can with what's passed on to us and try to look to the future and learn from our mistakes in the past and try to make things a lot better.
All right, very good. Well, Carl Clawson, thank you very much for taking some time out to get to know let the members get to know you a little bit better, for those who don't already. And thanks for taking the time to answer the questions. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. Enjoy your day. Stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe.
I will.
All right. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.